All right. We've got a ton to go over today, so I will try to talk quickly and we'll go through it all. So we did have a 230701 release. It was all really minor stuff. I'm not really going to bother to talk about it. But then we've got all kinds of cool stuff. And I just wanted to mention today that we do have contributions. We had 3 different organizations contributing code this month. So Bywater, of course, we're contributing code every month. PTFS Europe also contributed some great code, and TechA Solutions also contributed code. So we love to see everybody contributing to Aspen. So let's start with our European friends here in our European friends added the cookie consent bar. So what this does is, for people that don't know, it's GDPR, I think. Yes, it's a 4-letter acronym that I occasionally scramble letters. But basically, you have to agree to cookies before moving on. So they've added that to set that consent cookie. This is then configurable. So right now, it will be defaulted off for everybody. You would need to turn it on. It is currently, the setting is located within system variables. So down here at the bottom, there is a new section for data protection regulations with the option to require cookie storage consent. That is what shows this bar. And then when you click on no, I want to find out more, it pops up a little message with information about it. You can customize that however you want down here. So so here we could customize that to say exactly what we're doing. So we value your privacy. The library only tracks, only uses cookies. Something like that. So then we can save those changes. As soon as you opt in, so then that pops up there again. And as soon as you say, yes, I agree, that bar goes away for you. So we're going to be tweaking this a little bit between now and the full release. We are going to move some of those settings into library settings so that individual institutions within a consortium can tweak those however they want when you've got a multi-library setup. And then we're also applying theming to the bar. So you'll be seeing those shortly. Then we made a bunch of cover updates. So as we saw last time, we had a bunch of covers that we could set. We could set the custom cover for grouped works. So if you didn't like the old way of doing it, you could do that. We now apply that to both website indexing settings as well as open archives. So for website indexing, again, this is Pueblo's site. You just pick an image off your machine. You can pick whatever you want. Save those settings. I actually like this one a little bit better because it's a little bit bigger. So you can pick whatever you want there. And then when you view web pages, it will apply to your cover images. So that if you're indexing half a dozen different websites, then you can pretty easily tell what's what. So cool update there. That's just in your website indexing settings. And then similarly in your open archive settings, you'll be able to set a background image for the default for those different collections. So again, if you have a bunch of different collections where we can't pull through some of the images or maybe some of the images, if we can't pull through the images, then you can easily tell them apart. So cool. So that's those. We also updated, let's see, as long as we're talking covers, we updated the browse categories. So we've had a few people notice that, get rid of debugging info. So every once in a while, we had some cases where the browse category grids wouldn't show up quite aligned properly. And this would happen both in grid view and in, or the grid layout as well as the masonry layout. So we've gone through and updated those so we can see that this looks great. And then if we switch over to grid, it's going to display as well. So you can see both of those. Switching back and forth does all the right things. In the themes, then we can go to our browse. And let's change this to grid. So then here we're going to see our recommendations. Everything's going to line up perfectly. So that all looks great. If we switch to grid, if you've got grid and grid selected, it's actually going to give a little bit more space so that there's a little more room for titles and authors. So just some nice things to make Aspen look better by default. So that's all working nicely now. Moving on, we've made some updates to, so we've added the ability to have a convenience fee. So the convenience fee is if your e-commerce provider charges a flat convenience fee and you want patrons to make sure that they understand what they are paying, you now have the ability to add terms of service and a convenience fee. Because the e-commerce provider automatically provides this, we don't send that to the e-commerce provider. So it's not like we're charging that. It is for display only so that patrons can understand what they will be charged before they get there. So it is important to note that if you set a $1 or $2 or $5 convenience fee, we're not increasing the amount that is being sent to the e-commerce provider. It is just for display purposes only. So, and hopefully that all of the text there makes that totally clear. But just a good way to make sure that everything is reconciling properly and that patrons understand what they're being charged. For the last couple of months, we've been working on event integration. So you've seen this before, and we're continuing to make new changes as we learn more about what, oh, sorry, actually, before I move on to that, events, let's just see that in action. So I'm just going to masquerade as myself here. So the settings are in library settings. And if I go to my fees here, then we're going to see the convenience fee. We've got a $1 and the grand total is now 11. If I reduce my amount to pay, now we can see I'm actually only paying $6. So good ways to do that. So okay, moving on to the event settings. So we've added a couple of new settings here. So these three. So we've had some requests for people that don't want people to add events to lists. So we've given you 3 new options. So don't allow anybody to add events to lists, or allow everybody to add to lists, which is what it was previously, or allow only staff to add events to lists. So if you're a staff user and want to create a list of upcoming events, you could do that so that you could publish it as a browse category. Or as a list, you could do that, but not allow general users to do that. So some good options there to kind of give you some more fine-grained control over that. These settings are all going to be available in each of the different settings. So no matter which one you use, you can do that. And then if you had multiple, you could kind of tweak it back and forth. But bypass event pages in Aspen. So for libraries, especially that have a lot of event registration, they want to send patrons directly to the event system. So in this case, Communico, when you click on a link from search results. So if you turn that on, that would take all of your search links directly over to Communico, and you wouldn't see the page within Aspen. If you're not doing a lot of registrations within your events, then leaving the event page within Aspen on is great, because then patrons aren't kind of bouncing back and forth between two websites. So it's a lot easier for patrons to understand. There is also now the option to add a registration modal body. So basically what this will do is when you click on the button to register, it will give you additional information about the registration. So if you want to tell people, hey, as part of registration, we do whatever, we collect your barcode or we collect your email and phone number and we get back to you, that kind of thing. You can put that up as kind of an intermediary step. So let's take a look at how some of those will work. I'm not going to be real creative here. So here we're going to save that. And let's do a search now in our events. So the other things we did were break up some of these. So we used to have like add to your events and register. Those are kind of two separate steps, and we want to make sure that those look like they're two separate steps. So I can always just add this to my events and get the information that it was saved successfully, just like it's worked before. Or I can register for it. So here's our registration information. This is where you would display, hey, in order to register, we need all of this information. Here's how you learn more about it, that kind of thing, and then take me to the event registration. If you don't put in a modal dialog there, it's just going to take you straight over here. So it's an opportunity to provide more information, but not something that you have to do. All right, and then we can see we don't have the add to list button because I disabled that. All right, moving along. So we added the ability to add up to 3 custom events. So in this case, I'm going to go to, let's go here. So in the indexing profiles, all the way down at the bottom here, we now have a new option called custom facets. This lets us define based off any mark record fields. So this is only going to apply to your mark records, what you want the custom facets to be. So we've got a couple of different cases where people have some different notes that they want to make more prominent, or they're cataloging age levels in specific ways. So here what I'm doing is I'm pulling everything from the 590A, and I've got some specific things that I'm excluding. So you can either say include what you want to include. So if you wanted to include, say, all of your, if you had a specific reading level system, or if you wanted to create, in this case, yeah, so different reading levels. So 521A, 590 for different notes. Let's do a search of these now. So here, if we do a search, let's just go back here. We're going to do a blank search in the library catalog. So here we will see, okay, we've got our custom 590 fields. This obviously is not something we would want to do a lot more filtering on that. I just grabbed everything. So here we can see all of those. We'd probably get rid of those. Maybe we want like an additional materials or something. The 521's a little bit better. So in this case, this is our reading level. So we have a little data cleanup to do here to say like, hey, this is reading level 2 or reading level 3, get rid of the periods in some places. So just another option for you to turn these on. So yes, these are defined globally across all libraries within a consortium. They can be turned off or on per system. So you can only create 3 right now. If for some reason you need more, let us know. But we thought 3 was probably a good number. Then you will go into the grouped work facets, and they can be turned on or off here. So you can turn them on or off per library. So here we've got our custom facet 1, custom facet 2. These are only on in the public library interface, and the academics don't have them off in this, or don't have them on in this situation. So here, if we wanted for our academic view, we'd need to go through and add those in there. So we could say, add in that custom facet 2, and we could call this reading level or something. All right. So we're excited to see how people use those. If you need help setting those up, certainly let us know in terms of how to get exactly the right fields that you want, that kind of thing. Made a number of Koha updates to support some of the new functionality in Koha 2211. So we made an update for holds that require that are performing a cancellation request rather than actually canceling right off. We've updated the workflow for that so that they will now go through that same approval process that you would get when canceling within the Koha OPAC. So that'll release with this. Also some other little Koha updates for renewal limits. You can update pronouns if approval is needed, and middle name field can be added to the self-registration form. So some little tweaks just to make sure that we've got exactly that same functionality. Other little things, so in the library hours and locations page, we now have the ability to show the email. So that was just something where we had the setting for it, but never displayed it anywhere. We also added the ability within the search box to search by call number. So this is something you could do from the advanced search, but we just added it to the main search box. So we've got a few libraries that want to be able to search by call number or create browse categories by call number. So we could now say create look for all of our Scottish travel books. So we can see all of those. There are some notes about self-checks in the release notes. Just wanted to note that these are things you can just leave them off for now. Basically, that's us prepping for a future release. So just wanted to mention that. Also, third-party registration updates. So we do have a vendor working with us to be able to do some self-registration using Aspen as the go-between. And so we've made some updates for that so that they can more easily tell if somebody is already self-registered. Really cool functionality that we're looking forward to talking about more. As part of that, we now have a Twilio integration. So that will allow us to send SMS messages. Right now, the only messages that are sent are as part of the phone number notification. So instead of letting me type in a phone number and automatically see the barcode, it texts it to me. So lots of things we'll be able to do with that in the future. Going to be cool stuff coming down the road again. Those were the big things I wanted to demo, and I've already taken way too much time, so I'm going to turn it over to Jordan to talk through the LIDA updates.
Okay, so we have very exciting updates today. If you see me looking down, it is because today I need to share from an iPad because our updates almost all concern or need the camera. So, okay, we've done some things with barcode scanning, and one of the things that we've allowed you to do is scan your barcode when you are logging in. So if you see my screen right now, I've already put in the library location and actually the password. So I'm going to click, I know you can't see because I'm not in the simulator, but I'm clicking on the little icon or tapping on the little icon under username where it has the empty box. I'm tapping on that barcode icon right now. Okay, so you see that barcode screen pop up, and I had printed out my barcode from Aspen. You know how you can get to your barcode in there, and it automatically fills this in for us. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in. It'll sign in. Okay, second thing that we've done with this release is we've combined the Discover and the search screens. And a couple of different reasons for this. We found through talking to people that both of these screens weren't really necessary. This also better mimics what we have in Aspen Discovery. So what's new at the top of this page is that search. So you see the search box here, and then at the bottom, we no longer have that search page. So we lost some of those quick searches, but there wasn't a lot of functionality there, and this really just better mimics what you see in the web version of Aspen Discovery. So with this search, you see the search box at the top. We've also added the ability to do a barcode scan to search for a title. So again, in that search box on the right, you see the barcode icon. I'm going to go ahead and tap that, even though you can't see me doing it. And I have the book right here, People We Meet on Vacation. There's a barcode down here at the bottom, and you can see that Lita scans it and automatically pulls it up in Lita so that you can do whatever you want with it. So this is great for patrons that are out in a bookshop or any place they might see a book. So that is the end of our demo. We have one more feature that I wanted to mention, and that is for Sierra libraries. Placing holds on volumes is now working. Let me stop sharing on my iPad. Doesn't want to do that. Sorry, all. And then there's a few other Lita updates. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and leave from the iPad because that'll, oh, there we go. Okay. A few other updates for Lita, and you can go ahead and check the release notes for that, just little fixes that partners reported. So that's all for Lita, and I'll go ahead and hand it back over to Mark.
All right. So we did want to mention today that we will be having a 2308.10 release. There's some functionality that we need for a library partner that's going live this month that we didn't feel comfortable putting in the 2308 release. It is a little bit of technical back-end thing. So basically, the way Aspen has been storing the login information, it's been using the same field for both barcode and username, and not, it hasn't really mattered in the past. It was kind of like whichever one you logged in with, it would store. We did find a case where that causes some issues if somebody's logging in with SSO as well. So we are splitting those out. We didn't want to put that in the 2308 release, so we're going to put that in the 2308.10 release. And maybe a few other updates that we need for that library specifically.
You go, well, I get it, or you seem awful.
So that will come out later this month, probably middle of the month. We don't actually expect to deploy that to any partners other than the one that's going live on it. We will deploy it to test servers kind of as soon as 2308 goes live to production. So what is that? So we'll deploy live to production the 16th of August, or the morning of the 16th, it will be available. So either sometime by the end of that week, we'll have 23.08.10 on library test servers. It's kind of a big change, so we want to make sure to test it on as many test servers as possible. And then those changes will be part of the 2309 release. I think that's it for 2308.10. I'll pass back over to Morgan.